Are you still trying to sell or rent a water dispensing system to a customer who doesn't even know what to look for? You see, a lot of people ask me, Fabio, why are your brochures so long? These are brochures that explain the benefits of various water dispensers, water purifiers, and filtration systems. And many people ask me why they're so long, because they are in fact brochures with more than 20 pages. Now, if you work in the water treatment industry, I want to explain the reason for this question, and I want to explain why it's also useful for you to create such long brochures. Now, first, let's take a step back. Have you ever had the feeling that no one truly understands the value of your system or your offer, and that the customer puts you on the same level as someone selling cheap filters or water purifiers online, or who goes on Amazon and just looks at the prices? And then maybe after half an hour of you explaining and listing all your benefits, they say, I'll think about it. Or they say, well, that other one gave me a lower price. I saw it online for a lower price. Now, if this has happened to you, know that you're not alone in the world of water dispensing, and it's not your fault. It's the fault of the market, which in reality hasn't been educated. And when the market isn't educated, guess how it chooses? Based on price. Why? Because it doesn't understand the difference. And so if it doesn't understand the difference, it's obviously not willing to pay for it. That's why today it's your job, and it's important to educate before you go to sell. And the one who educates in reality commands the market. Now, be careful. Educating doesn't mean giving lessons. It doesn't mean you have to act like a professor or explain technical details that many people might not understand. If we think about the typical user of a water dispenser, maybe for home use or for use in a restaurant, they're obviously not interested in overly technical details. So what does it mean to educate? Educating essentially means explaining to the customer, as I do in these brochures, what they need to look for and what really works in a water dispensing system. For example, explaining what mistakes to avoid, what risks there are in choosing too quickly, or choosing online, choosing systems that aren't actually what they're looking for, and why what you offer is a solution to a problem, and not just a simple product. So, if you explain why a reverse osmosis system protects against contaminants, why a cooler carbonator can lower operating costs in a restaurant, or why an under-counter system frees up space and time in a restaurant for managing cases of water because it saves restaurateurs time and money, right? If you explain all these things, which are part of the education, because you see they are connected to your system, to your water dispenser, but in a way they are also separate. If you explain all of this, for example, in a brochure, your customer starts to understand, and when they understand, they finally make a choice. Even if it costs more, even if you're not the first person they've met because they've asked for other quotes, you're the only one who has actually opened their eyes, okay? You're the only one who told them something the others didn't. You've educated them and positioned yourself as a consultant, not a salesperson, okay? And this is where the tone of the conversation changes, because it means they listen to you with respect and not with distrust. So if you want to start becoming a sort of, let's say, a water consultant, a water expert, a water dispenser expert, you don't have to become a guru or someone never seen before. You just need to start with a few steps. One idea, for example, could be to start posting on social media, explaining to users the most common mistakes customers make before choosing a dispensing or water purification system, or creating videos that explain in a few minutes how to choose a water purification system without getting ripped off. Or you can prepare some sheets, some brochures. In fact, that's why I want to show you this one. Printed brochures with all the things you need to know before signing a rental contract for a purification system, and so on, small pieces of content. The concept, I've just given you some ideas. The concept is to provide small pieces of content, okay, that educate and position you as a consultant, as an expert, and not like a regional agent, an area agent who has to do the rounds and knock on every door at all the restaurants and all the families, all the companies, because they have to sell. Instead, you're a consultant, okay? So you have to produce content that changes the customer's mindset, because if you change the way they think, then they're ready to change their habits and therefore get your system. And so when you go into a negotiation, you can start by asking the customer a question. Hey, dear customer, can I explain the 3 things my clients didn't know before renting a water dispenser? And from there you start to educate. And as you educate, you become authoritative, you become credible, you become preferable, okay? Even if you have a showroom, even if you're at a trade fair, don't just display the water dispenser. Bring the right words with you, bring the stories behind the water dispensers, the concepts that open your customers' minds, because remember, whoever educates no longer chases the customer. In fact, it's the customer who seeks them out, okay? So the goal of all this is to make customers look for you instead of you looking for customers. And this is a huge revolution if you work in water treatment. this video has come to an end. So if you don't want to miss other tips to dominate your market of water dispensers or water treatment in general, I recommend you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, click the bell button so you get an alert, a notification as soon as a new video comes out, because you never know which video might be the one that changes your life and your career. See you in the next video.